Pat's pals, Foxborough friends, football freaks, and gridiron geeks. I welcome you to the return of your favorite way to internet after a Patriots game or when big Foxborough news breaks. That's right. Welcome back to Fitzy and Friends. Hit me with those cheap graphics and stock music, baby. Okay, so maybe it's more with tonight's guest. I'm going to welcome in just a couple of minutes Boston sports radio caller legend Dakota from Braintree. Steve Dakota Happas from swingjuice.com is going to join me to chop up the Pats preseason, talk about tonight's huge 22-20 victory over the they might be New York Football Giants. Nice little pass breakup at the end by newly acquired cornerback Shaun Wade over Dante Pettis to get the W. The Patriots undefeated in the preseason, hang a banner in the stadium to celebrate 3-0 as they head into the first ever 17-game season for your Foxborough Football Club. Speaking of football clubs, shout out to my friends at Apple Plus who sent me this Ted Lasso jersey. Yeah, that's right. You want to know what? I believe. That's right, folks. When you come in here, you bring some positivity because we are going to believe, and we're getting ready for a little Fanuel brawl. Guys, I'm setting up the new studio here. It's going to be posh, luxe, and fantab soon enough. Appreciate the patience. I know it's been a while, guys, but I am pumped and jacked like a shirtless Pete Carroll, and we are ready to go. A little nod to the sponsors who make this possible tonight. Shout out to our friends at Underdog Fantasy. If you guys are huge fans of daily fantasy or want to learn to play a new something called Best Ball and get yourself ready for the fantasy season, go to underdogfantasy.com. All right, here's what you need to do. You go to underdogfantasy.com, okay? Enter the promo code Fitzy. You get a free $25 to play around with. I'll be happy to jump in some leagues with you guys if you get a chance. Best way to prep for your fantasy league that you are guaranteed to dominate, especially if you drafted J.K. Dobbins earlier this morning out for the season. Also, shout out to my friends at Vitamin C Brewing, the best IPAs on the South Shore, the treehouse of the South Shore. Of course, they are located at 30 Moore Road in Weymouth, Massachusetts. Weymouth. It's like Braintree, if only it had dreams and went to college. At VSB, it's VSB.com, and of course at Vitamin C Brewing on the IG. The golden age, says the guy from Pint Club of Delicious Brewing. That beer tastes like breakfast cereal. And of course, Canadips. Love me some Canadips, 10 milligrams of Humboldt County's finest CBD and every mouthful of delicious. All right, sponsors are out of the way. We paid the bills, and now let's talk some football. Dakota from Braintree is on the line. Let's welcome him into Fitzy and Friends so we can talk Pats preseason. Cam versus Mac. Your expectations. We'll revisit our predictions for a record on the season, a studs, duds, and maybe some roster surprises. Who's going to get cut and who's going to be anything but. Dakota from Braintree, you're on the line. Welcome to Fitzy and Friends, my guy.
What's up, Fitzy? Thanks for having me tonight. So the first question I have for you is, did you drink and chew or eat all that stuff during the Patriots game for all those sponsors?
Dude, I got to tell you, I am not just like Perry Entelman's next guy. Like they call me Mr. Recovery. You know, I'm not just like a CBD user because that's what Gronk got into. I love this stuff, man. It's awesome.
And I also
I'm super mid-40s like everybody else. I know, like, you're loose and limber out there on the course every day, you know, knocking out your martini steak dinners and 18 holes every other. You got to, one way to stay in shape. These things are incredible, man. Like, I'm a huge fan. And of course, considering that I bang out a couple of these every night, I need something to help me recover every morning.
Are those gummies, they real gummies, like uppers, they're downers, like Mellows? Because
they're dip-free pouches. You pop one in for like a half an hour, spitless, non-tobacco stuff. It's awesome.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. So I see a lot of, like, have you like abandoned the New England Revolution now and you have a new soccer team behind it because you have kind of like a new background?
No, this is like my new favorite. If we were doing a podcast tonight on like your favorite fictional sports teams of all time, AFC Richmond would have to go straight to the top. I'm such a Ted Lasso fan. I get sad after every episode. And I know that's the reverse of the way Ted Lasso should go, but I'm just sad that it's going to be X amount of time until I get to watch another one, because every episode gives me such like a massive serotonin boost and makes me feel so good. It gives me hope. Kind of like every time I watch Mac Jones complete a pass and throw a touchdown. That's a professional segue right there, my friend.
I'll tell you what. You know what? Over the years, right, since we've had Tom Terrific, Tom Brady, however you want to, the GOAT, whatever you want to call him. How many times did we watch preseason games and see like the next guy, the Ryan Malletts of the world, right? Just come in there and go, wow, they drafted a guy that doesn't even look like an NFL quarterback, right? Like we've gone through so many iterations, and I think it was just Jimmy G was the only other one. And then you've got Mac Jones, who actually looks like a real NFL quarterback from day one. And we've seen number 1 picks, number 2 picks have trouble in the NFL. This guy was the 5th quarterback taken.
Yep.
And he can, if he was named the starter tomorrow, would you be like, oh no, they're making a bad decision?
You know what? No, I wouldn't. I got to tell you straight up, all the way back to when you and I made our predictions in the springtime, post-draft, post Mac Jones joining the team. You went 11-6. I said, as we made our way through the schedule, I said 12-5. That was largely presuming that Cam Newton wouldn't necessarily return to 2011, 2015, 2018 first half of the season form. I was just thinking like between defense, special teams, power running game, reasonably effective and efficient throwing of the football, and just Belichick and McDaniels, they would will their way to win over a couple of pushover opponents. And some of those games they lost by 3 to 7 points last year would flip the script. Now, I got to tell you, and that was all with Cam. I got to tell you, man, I would son of a bitch. I can't
think
believe
it gives
this.
you
I'm ready for Mac to start. I really am. I can't believe it.
You know, I've tossed and turned on this thing a while. The day that they signed Cam Newton last year, I'm like, I love the guy. I love his charisma. I love the work ethic. I like how when he walks into the room or on the field, right, he just lights it up. I want
right from that first time when he was wearing his dad's suit and he strutted in the night that he got drafted. And it's like, oh man, he went to Men's Warehouse and bought a suit for himself 3 sizes too big. This kid dude, did you see him yelling at Gunner tonight at the end of the first half? Because he said, like he was doing this, like he was making those like, no, you're supposed to go this way, and I saw you go that way. He was he was barking Brady-esque, like he was bitching him out, like, oh, that's what QB1s do. I loved it.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to make Mac Jones the starter. Obviously, they're going to give it to Cam Newton, and they're going to let Cam Newton fall on his own sword, or they're going to win some games heading into the Tom Brady game and make Cam Newton the starter. Cam Newton hasn't played himself out of the starting position yet, and the good. It's almost like, you remember when Drew Bledsoe, the year that Tom Brady outperformed him in preseason, and
they held on to 4 quarterbacks.
That's correct. They held on to 4 quarterbacks, and then Drew get hurt, and then they were all saying, "Well, Belichick was going to make that move and go right to Brady anyways." It's kind of that same thing. I think everybody says, "Well, in Bill we trust, and Bill we trust, and Bill we trust." And like, well, why is Cam the starter? Well, Drew Bledsoe was the incumbent, and probably Bill Belichick is that old football guy that says, you know what, you're the incumbent, you get the snaps, you're going to start the season. Even though the rookie, like Tom Brady, beat out Drew Bledsoe, outplayed him, everybody saw it that year, that, you know what, something's going to happen. Either Drew Bledsoe is going to have to get hurt, or he's going to have to play himself out of that position, because I've got a guy like Tom Brady in the backups, in the wings, just like Mac Jones is. So it's going to be Cam's ball on opening day. And the best part about it is, if Cam wins, that's great for us Patriots fans. If he doesn't, then we can see the future a little bit earlier in Mac Jones.
See, so many thoughts on this. Couldn't agree with you more. Hard agree, RT, Fave, etc. Here in the comments alone, Dakota, we've got the perfect dichotomy of how fans are feeling right now. Diana Solani, friend of the show, frequent visitor on the Fitzy and Friends and More, the live streams, just flat out, no Cam. Okay, I'm not necessarily sure why. I feel like this is like an internal issue. There's been all this infighting going on between Pats fans, not just over Mac versus Cam, but rather why people don't like Cam, and that it's a regressive move, and that we'll be going back to last year, and he's going to repeat that performance, even though he is healthier. He's got another year in the system. and they have superior talent around him. I agree with that completely. The hottest take we'll get all night. Jeff Bolton, Mac beats Brady in the house that Brady built. That is hilarious, and I am so glad that I was here for that. But this is how I feel right now. Okay, would I be happy, like you asked just a minute ago, if Belichick came out tomorrow and was like, "Yeah, we're going to be McCorkle found a way to win out and beat Cameron, so we wish him all the best." That would be great. But at the same time, just like Scott Shampoo says, love celebrating with a nice glass of shampoo. Usually if we're at Encore. What's the name of that new sports bar, by the way, that they're opening up soon at the Encore in Boston, dude?
I don't think there's going to be any name to it. It's just the sports book at Encore. I don't think they have a title for it yet. But the one out in Vegas is phenomenal, and I think they just took the blueprint. See, the sports book wasn't supposed to go into the buffet area, and one of the things that I mentioned to you a while ago, like the top 10 best things that came out of the COVID era. And actually having the sports book take over the buffet area at the Encore was going to be one of them, because the sports book wasn't supposed to go in there. But since COVID, they killed all the buffets. So they had this giant footprint to say, hey, let's put a sports book where the buffet used to be. So we're going to have the same sports book footprint as they have in Vegas.
Imagine having to actually order single portions at a time and controlling your dietary intake. Unbelievable. What a tragedy that the buffets, as our food supply chain weeps with joy over buffets being stifled for a year plus in time. Shampoo said, love Mac, but okay. I'm presuming he's okay with leaving Cam in so Mac can learn. And my guy, Phil Howlett from the Upper Canadian Patriots fan club, it's Cam's job to lose until at least week 5. That's around when I figure, depending on how Cameron Jarrell plays, that they'll give him like a months-long leash, because what you saw out of Mac Jones, and he threw his first pretend season, his first professional touchdown tonight, that dime to Zuber over the middle.
That was great. And we should talk about Hans Gruber. I mean Zuber. A little bit more.
Dude, maybe.
N'Keal Harry might be cut after what Zuber did tonight.
Yeah, Zuber looked great, dude. And I'll tell you, not only N'Keal Harry, I guarantee you, he just made the IR or the IL or whatever they call it these days now. And the pup is the preseason, then he makes like the injured reserve for a few weeks. I bet you they put him on there for a couple of weeks, designated to return. See what you got in Wilkerson, or maybe Super Zuba. The kid is fast. He's got the hands Wilkerson doesn't have. And think about how many more touchdowns, Big Mac attack, Mac the knife, ready, set, Maction, whatever you want to call him. Think about all the touchdowns he'd have. Wilkerson dropped one. N'Keal Harry dropped one. Gunner has dropped some of his passes. Like, Mac had himself a hell of a preseason. And this week when Cam had the botched COVID protocol, unvaccinated, this is not the time, place, nor the live stream to have a COVID protocol, nor a are you or are you not vaccinated discussion. But Cam leaves himself open to and susceptible to any sort of issues that could arise with COVID protocols being unvaccinated. He leaves campus, doesn't get the right test at the right time, at the right place. Mac gets a chance. And on Wednesday, he absolutely blows up the Giants' Death Star in the joint practices. Twitter has a baby. It's an absolute Mac-gasm. And then he only backs it up by looking like a professional tonight. So, yeah, if Cam can play well enough, I'm okay with that. But our future is big and bright. Like, we've got a franchise quarterback in Bloom, Dakota, and I freaking love it.
So one quick jumping off point about Cam Newton and the test that he was taking. I'm pretty sure the tests, those were banned by the NFL. That's why he had to go into protocol. That was the company that I think last year had like 77 players test positive, and they realized all the tests were tainted. And then they banned no more testing of that. I think that was the same company. That's why when he was dealing with the protocol down in New York or New Jersey where he was, they said you can't take that test as part of the protocol. So it was the type of test from the manufacturer that was banned by the NFL. It's not that Cam didn't follow that protocol. He just took the wrong test that were banned.
See, it's shit like that is just so rank and file. Like, really, it was the wrong kind of test that you took, and because you didn't. I mean, it's not like he was Ontario Smith and busted out a Whizzinator. He didn't have like a fake dong that he ran someone else's urine through so as to show that he didn't have. Granted, it was marijuana that he was testing over that he got banned for using. But like, that's such petty bullshit. Let them use CBD, let them use marijuana, let them do whatever. And like when it comes to something like this, so long as they're masked up, they have no close contacts, they've taken their tests, who gives a shit? There were no on-field transmissions last year. Like there weren't any, like, let alone any mass incidents of transmission in stadiums where they allowed anywhere between 10 to 25% capacity, Dakota. But I'm speaking to the right guy at the wrong time about this. Wait, hold on. Hold on one second. Robert Chenard, what's up, Fitzy? Hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Robbie Chenard, how are you? Hold on. How about this one? All right. Not to deviate too far from the topic du jour and the most compelling talk radio and live stream point in Boston all year long, which is Mac and Cam and QB1 this season. There's a part of me that wonders if there wasn't a chance that Gunnar Olszewski was playing a lot of wide receiver tonight, so Belichick could see what else he could get out of him, even though he was an all-pro punt returner last year. Kind of the running kid. Yeah. J.J. Taylor back there fielding punts. Alex Seymour on Facebook, I'd cut Harry and Gunnar, and I would keep Zuba and Wilkerson. What do you think about that?
So I definitely Zuber. I think Zuber actually has more talent than Jacoby Myers. I think if he gets more reps, I think he can do more. And listen, I'm a big Jacoby Myers fan. I likened him after first seeing him to Keenan Allen, and people goes, how do you compare Jacoby Myers to Keenan Allen? I go, well, he runs the same routes. He reaches for the ball. He puts the ball away, and he runs after the catch the same way Keenan Allen does. So I'm a big Jacoby Myers fan. Okay. But Zuber is a great – I can't say great. People will jump on me and say great because the guy could barely make the team and he'll probably be cut tomorrow. So I have to use that term loosely. I said for trying to make this team, Zuber actually makes good cuts. He comes back for the ball. He catches the ball properly. And I like the way he runs. I like the way he runs after the catch. Plus, Zuber can get down the field straight. Jacoby Myers can't. You don't see really Jacoby go straight down the field. He's more of a cross-routing guy. So to me, I think you got to keep Zuber. See you later and Keel Harry. You're out of here, and let's see if Zuber can, be that fifth, sixth wide receiver. And as for Gunnar, I mean, J.J. Taylor was back there punt return to make sure if they were going to cut Gunnar that they had somebody to catch punts. And J.J. Taylor,
I think it's on the table, dude.
Yeah,
I think it's on the table.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough. I think Gunnar earned himself a spot last year. I don't think he can play himself out of a roster spot this year. I think Gunnar makes the team and he's given a shot. And maybe they move Zuber, they just put Zuber on the practice squad to start. And then if Gunnar has any problems during the season and they split punt returning times with J.J. Taylor, then they feel a little bit more comfortable that Gunnar can't make that move. But Zuber's got to play. They got to find a way to keep him and get him on the field.
I agree. Les Ingalls says, my biggest fear is that Cam has middling after middling. Cam didn't lose us the games, and Bill sticks with him. Personally, mine is heights, spiders, and drowning. But okay, this is one of my larger fears. It's actually not one of my larger fears because we've gone over this before, Dakota, and sadly, like people that want to see exciting, up-tempo, Brady-esque offense, they want to see the team run the way that your Mike Giardis, your Mike Reeses, your Tom Currens, all the Patriots beat reporter Illuminati have said, like, every time Mac Jones comes in, the offense looks like the Patriots offense is supposed to. And I get that. I understand it. But like the way that the Patriots started winning games when Tom Brady took over, was simple, basic ball control, a lot of play action, heavy tight end work, a lot of running, and big, bad, imposing defense. Tonight, I saw big, bad, imposing defense, even without Gilmore out there, decent cornerback coverage. The linebackers, Uche and Judon, were in their grill, their backyard, up the front steps, and under the covers all first quarter long. The running game looked, Damian Harris was just smashing and dashing, slicing and dicing his way through the first quarter. Cam's passes were fine. They were like, they weren't spectacular. That wasn't his fault, by the way, even though Kendrick Bourne had 30 yards of open space. If he looked way out in the far left flat, his read was to Myers. I didn't think that pass was bad at all. That linebacker Martinez just happened to make the better play.
Sure.
They're going to win ugly. They're going to win old-fashioned. That's Bill Belichick Patriots football. So everyone kind of needs to just strap in and get ready for all of it. And, hey, by the way, Brailsford rides. When you were talking about Zuber having more talent than Jacoby Myers, I went to NC State. Don't you blaspheme Myers. Listen, my boy Dakota Brailsford just said that he's like Keenan Allen, which I agree. I call him
Yeah.
You know, they call Devonta Smith the Slim Reaper. I call Jacoby Myers the Ocean State job lot Slim Reaper. Like he's a discount version of Devonta Smith. Just quick enough, good toe drag swag, great hands, and a precise route runner. There's room for both of them on the team, but let's keep Zoba.
Yeah. Who was the one that was the big NC State fan that chimed in?
Brailsford's rides.
So he must have been super happy that Mike Glennon got into the game and threw a touchdown pass today, right? Glennon, who's been on, I think, 7 NFL teams. Can you name them all? Can that guy name the NC State Mike Glennon's every team that he's played for without looking it up? That's what I want to know.
Ooh, hold on. How many can I name?
It might have been only 6.
I can name 4.
Which 4?
Giants, Jaguars, Buccaneers, Bears. Oh, and Cardinals, 5.
There's another one.
Who is it?
The Raiders. He was in the Raiders for at least 3 years.
Did he have a cup of coffee with the Raiders?
Yeah, he was with the Raiders. Definitely with the Raiders. I don't know. There might be another team in there, but you hit on. I'm surprised that you got all of them. That was pretty good, Fitzy.
Nice. I guess I've seen a couple games in my day. All right,
so I have a question.
Go for it.
Yeah. Can we do something about Jake Bailey? And I don't mean his kicking, but can he wear something that's a little bit more protective? You know, if you're watching that game, well, you know,
are you too turned on by his massive leg?
No, that's not
like
what I
his
mean.
second or his third leg.
You know what? If I had little kids in the room, watching it, I would have been like, they'd be like, "Daddy, what's that?" And I'm like, "Well, that's just he's not protecting himself." You know, okay.
Is that like when John Hamm was filming Mad Men and they told him to wear protective underwear because there was too much going on?
That's exactly it. And you know, since it's online, I'm like, here we are, Jake Bailey for the kickoff, and all you can see is just Jake Bailey just like perforating through his pants.
Right. Here's Jake Bailey tripod. Like, I already knew you had a Canon guy, but now I'm going to have to get a screen cap.
And you know, these people are laughing, right? That are watching us right now because they all saw it. They all said the same thing.
Oh, I didn't see it, but that's spectacular. Wait. You mentioned Jake Bailey, John Hamming his way through, and the audience is like, I'm not sure if I can handle that.
And by the way, John Hamm, phenomenal in Mad Men. So if you guys are looking for something to watch for a show, just watch
phenomenal. Hey, by the way, did you see this moment tonight? I only saw this at the tail end of the game. Mark Dondero, who works for 103.7 WVEI or WEI in Providence. Excellent radio guy, great passion. He grabbed this video after it happened. Did you see after Mac Jones threw his first touchdown? Tell me if you saw this. Cam Newton hunting him down for a high five. Check this out.
Mac Jones representing Roll Tide from Alabama, and of course, Ramondre Stevenson. Boomer Sooner. There's Cam Newton.
Okay, Dakota, I want you to tell me, is that QB1 energy? Is that natural leadership? Is that Cam just doing those Cam Newton fun, energetic things? Or is that, as some people on Twitter, and a lot of them keep calling him Scam Newton, I'm not here for that. Is that sort of like he knew the cameras were on him, so he wanted to show that he was like a super good teammate, even though he knows this kid is challenging for his gig?
You know, it's a super good question, right? I mean, we heard even last year how Cam Newton really didn't, talk too much to Stiddy, and maybe nobody deserves to talk to Stiddy anyways because he's not even here. So maybe it was more about Stidham than it is about Cam Newton. But I don't know if Cam Newton's out there having a good time. Listen, if Cam Newton got cut or was named, not the starter tomorrow, I think Cam Newton probably for about 24 hours would be depressed, and then he'd be okay with it, right? So if Cam Newton's out there. Yeah, if Cam Newton's out there just trying to have fun, and if he's tutoring a little bit Mac Jones, and Cam Newton can help him, and Mac Jones succeed, and Cam can feel a little bit good about that, then I think that's more what about. Because I'm sure Cam Newton's probably helping him with some of the reads. Maybe he came over and said, you know what, this play is going to be there. Just look for it right away. Keep your eyes downfield. And maybe that was more about Cam Newton, right, telling the kid, hey, this is what you want to look for in this situation. And he was just trying to, get in there. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I loved when he ran down he likes when the attention is on him. He likes the spotlight, larger than life personality. You don't wear those canary yellow zoot suits. You don't dress like a smooth criminal or a Batman villain. You don't go through all the dancing and the histrionics and all the sideline activity without knowing that even though the spotlight's always on you, that your big personality puts a lot of shine on the field. And that's great. I love that about him. When I was doing the MC work at the first in-stadium practice, the first time the Patriots allowed fans back to Gillette in a year and a half, like a month ago, people just loved the fact that he was high-fiving guys and smiling, had different handshakes for everybody. That energy matters. Now, there were those, Dakota, who argue that the Patriots really needed that energy last year to get over the pandemic, the roster attrition, the loss of Brady, and now they don't need it quite as much. Now they just need a quarterback. And I still think Cam can do it just as well enough for the time being until he either proves that he can't, gets injured, or otherwise, or the competition gets to him. I haven't seen enough to say, sorry, guys, Cam Newton hasn't earned the job. I have seen enough out of Mac Jones to know if Cam sucks, if Cam gets injured, or when Cam finally leaves town, we have a big, bright future, which is a beautiful thing to see. Here we go. Here's a take right here. Alex, hey, Cam knows positive public opinion can buy goodwill. Cam knows that works and plays it perfectly. Is it how he truly feels? Who knows? Do you think he really feels that way?
I mean, I think Cam is just a super charismatic guy, and he's going to be always on, and it might look just the wrong way sometimes because people can't maybe just think he can't always be on. I mean, his press conferences are awesome. I mean, the guy buys a different hat every time just for that. So I think he's always on. Does Cam do it because he knows the camera's on? I think absolutely, but that probably feeds Cam Newton's ego as well and makes him that superstar and former MVP of the league. I think some of these guys have to be type A. And the other thing about the rah-rah stuff with Cam, we had two pretty big rah-rah guys, Tom Brady, not here, and Edelman, and they were the best players on this team, and they were rah-rah guys, and you don't have it. So whether Cam wants to be it or not, he has to be a rah-rah guy if he's going to be your QB1.
Right. And Mac's sort of rah-rah is not as much playing to the crowd. I don't remember how much Brady would play to the crowd when he was younger versus as he got older, if he kept it to the sideline and with his buddies. Obviously, he would run down the field and pump his fist in the end zone. Now I'm thinking of Brady coming back in on October 3rd and not running down and pumping his fist in the end zone. And I want to vomit through my eyes and ugly cry in the corner, but this is not the live stream for that. Mac's whole thing is the energy that creates that intense fighting spirit. You can see, like, the offense gives a shit when he is out there. Like, they really, yes, they try, and yes, they give a shit when Cam's out there. But they really, really, really seem coordinated. And like I said, that whole thing where he bitched out Gunner at the end of the first half for running the wrong route, which led to a sack of the old McCorkle, I love that. Gunner may not love it because he thinks that's going to lead Josh and Bill to look at the tape more and maybe see that he didn't run the right route. I love seeing that stuff. Again, that's what that emotional deficit, like the longing everyone feels for Tom Brady, Mac's not going to fill that in now or anytime soon. But there's a reason why he got that massive ovation when he came in during the first game against the football team back in August, Dakota. It's because it's a glimmer of the future. It gives them hope under center. He's Brady adjacent in some of his ways.
Sure.
And they also people are starting to realize, like, this kid's a little bit of a psycho killer. And I miss that.
Yeah. Well, in the other thing in this matchup between the both of them, Josh McDaniels' offense, the one that succeeds, is the Mac Jones offense. When Josh McDaniels ran the Cam Newton offense, he had Tim Tebow in Denver, and how'd that turn out, right? So, you know what? It might also not be conducive to Josh McDaniel to try to come up with a game plan. That just might not be his skill set as an offensive coordinator. And I think there's been talk about that anyways, that Josh is pushing for Mac Jones. It's because Mac Jones runs his offense. Cam Newton doesn't. Josh has to adapt. And if John has to adapt, you take away a strength and it becomes someone else's weakness. Now you got a guy like Cam Newton who's already lost a lot of physical skills, and you got an offensive coordinator who's one of the best offensive coordinators in the league under a Tom Brady, maybe Mac Jones system. And now you've really, really kind of like fighting against the grain. And then you got to have a defense. I hate to say it, the old boogeyman defense before they got unwound and found. But you're going to need a superstar defense. So, I mean, that's what I feel. I just think Cam doesn't also run the Josh McDaniels offense, nor does Josh want to call that offense. So,
right. I know they have to call a different offense. Do you? I wrote a piece for this on WEI.com a while ago. Rob Ninkovich said as much a couple of months ago. It's come up every now and again. How crazy an idea do you think it is that the Patriots would maybe do, call it a little Winston and Hill, maybe a little Leak and Tebow? Could you see the two of them being integrated into the offensive game plan this year at times? Because I say yes, and I want it.
Fitzy, I think it was on one of the ones that we did back then, or it was one of the stations that I might have called into. I said the same thing even before Ninkovich. If they're going to have Cam Newton and a guy like Mac Jones, and Belichick loves the other teams to say, hey, you only have so many hours. Don't forget, the NFL rules, it's not like when we were in high school where you could practice for another team or you were in college. NFL rules stipulate that you only have so much practice hours to prepare during the week to prepare against another team. So if you have two offenses each week that you have to prepare your team against, that means you can't work against everything that they can throw at you. So it behooves the Patriots to keep the Cam Newton, Mac Jones split time 75-25 because you have two different offenses and it's going to take the other teams that are preparing out of what they really want to do to try to shut down one of them. So I think this works. It works for Bill Belichick. And I definitely see, I don't know if it's going to happen week one just because it's week one, but I could definitely envision, and we talked about this, I think coming out of the end zone, it's going to be Cam Newton because you want to protect the ball. Between the 20s, it's maybe Mac Jones to help you get there. And then once you get down in the red zone, one of the biggest fears for a rookie quarterback is turning the ball over in the red zone. And I think maybe Cam Newton gets that opportunity. Whether or not we'll see them in the backfield together, I don't think that will happen. I think it will be one of the other, especially with, Mac Jones, if his knee is really bothering him. You're not going to see him in the backfield and sprint out wide and then Cam's going to go under center.
Right. But like you said, just the idea that they'll have to prepare for two in multiple capacities. I still think there's room for a couple of plays all year. Don't forget, Jacoby Myers was 2 for 2 last year throwing touchdown passes. One was to Rex Burkhead, which was an absolute dime against the Ravens. The other, a touchdown pass to Cam Newton against the Jets towards the end of the season. A couple more questions for Dakota, a couple other topics. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Wade, Tripp, what up? Fitzy, you're awesome. Love the stream. Love your videos. Thank you, buddy. Love you as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the video that we put out last week. How NFL fans order beer 2021. Me and my boy Georgie Kipp, who's in the comment section, he's all over it, like Matt Judon and Josh Uche, all over quarterbacks this season. We'll be doing another Shit Pats Fans Say later on this week. All right, so we talked about Gunner real quick. Give me your. You'll be surprised this guy. I think you're surprised this guy makes it guy Zuba. I'm starting to think that that's going to happen. I already gave you my surprise cut. I think Gunner might get cut. Who's yours?
The surprise cut? Oof. Well, I think Harry's gone. They're going to cut him. So I don't know if that's a surprise or not, but maybe it is. But I think the writing's on the wall from that standpoint. In the other wild card is Brandon Bolden, I think. I don't know if they have the luxury of keeping Bolden if you want to keep, all the running backs that they have. They got rid of one, Sony Michel, but if J.J. Taylor is going to be returning punts and you still want to keep Gunner, then maybe it's probably Brandon Bolden. So maybe it comes down to Gunner or Bolden from that standpoint.
Yeah. I think Joanne Williams has actually played his way in. Good size, third-year cornerback, second rounder out of Vandy. I love the pickup of that Sean Wade kid who was great his junior year at Ohio State, had a bad year on the outside last year, plus he was injured and got lit up by Mac Jones in the college football championship. I think this kid could be a great addition, great depth pickup to develop your secondary of the future. I hate to say it, it's starting to look like Gilmore is going to probably start the season on the physically unable to perform list, which is going to lead quarterbacks to target their second and third receivers all day long, which is like, that's what you want to know who to start in DFS. Start anyone that plays the Jaguars defense and start second and third wide receivers that play against the Patriots if Gilmore doesn't start week one, because that's going to be tough.
Well, the only good news is the Patriots pass rush should be a lot better, and a good pass rush kind of neutralizes your how long you have to stick with the wide receiver. So without Gilmore, their pass rush should be top notch. Hopefully, be top notch, so they can cover up the loss of Stephon Gilmore. And even when Stephon Gilmore isn't there, you have a good pass rush. That the average secondaries can get away when you have less
Yeah.
time, to go back there. But I do want to talk about one guy who finally made an appearance tonight, and that is Asi, Mr. Asi, right? Like,
Yes.
I mean, hey, here's what I don't know who it was, if there was somebody on sports radio or somebody else, somebody predicted like over 40 catches for, was it Fourier? Somebody said something
No,
about
last year
Asi.
Wiggy said he thought he would have 80 catches.
Oh, 80 catch. That was last year. Okay.
All he had to
So
do was divide that in half, then divide that in half, then divide that in half, then
didn't have.
divide
Did
that
he
in
have
half, and
one
divide that in
catch?
half.
Did he have one catch?
Two,
Two.
both against the Jets, one for a touchdown.
Yeah. So, anyways, he looked good tonight. So, if he can get in the mix, now you have three tight ends that can actually do something, and that will definitely help them out. So it was good to see, Asi actually play well tonight. So
Yeah, that could be. Don't forget, we saw so little of the tight ends, which is going to be the basis and crux of this offense. Like everything, we saw zero Hunter Henry. I'm not saying this is going to be like when we saw zero Randy Moss in 2007. We saw zero Hunter Henry this preseason. We saw so little Jonnu Smith, and that guy is a freak, one of the yak monsters in the
Sure.
NFL with yards after catch. Like, for all we know, they're literally going to tell Cam, try to run a little less, give it to Harris, the occasional option pass, dump it to White, and then just feed those tight ends in space. That's going to be effective. I don't care if it's unsexy half the time. It's going to be effective. All right, so we in the Wayback Machine back in like May of 2021 from my former Fitzatorium, we did a live stream. We went through the schedule. Oh, was it right after the schedule release? We had a little schedule release party.
Yes,
And we
it was
went
a
through
happy hour, I think.
It was exactly. It was a happy hour live stream, and we'll wrap on this. You said 11-6. I said 12-5. Now knowing what you've seen out of Mac, all knowing that Cam is going to be QB1, and what you've seen out of this defense, potentially knowing Gilmore could start the season on the IR/IL/PUP/WTF they call it. Has your and how some of the rest of the league looks. Has your prediction for 11-6 changed at all heading into the game against the Dolphins in just 2 weeks?
So most of the over-unders on the regular season wins at the sports book. I'm not sure if that fantasy site that you're a part of now or the sports gambling site, if they have regular season wins. I know some of the other ones that I look at have the Patriots at 9.5 of an over total, over-under. I still see them getting to 11 and wins. That was with kind of like Cam Newton just being a little bit better than last year because of the improvements on defense and a few upgrades at tight ends, et cetera. So if I think they can get to 11, maybe it's 10. Either way, it's 10 or 11. I don't think they do anything less than 10 or 11 this year, no matter what.
I think I'm going to pull it back from 12 and go to I'll go with a Nigel Tufnell, and I'll just say this one goes to 11. I'll say this all goes to 11. I say 11-6.
So you're walking it back.
I'm walking it back one
from the happy hour. Well, that's a big walk back.
I'm going to walk it back one just because last year I remember Tommy Curran told me at the Joe Jersey golf tournament, he's like, hey, Fitzy, that they're going to do the best they can. I just don't see how this team is going to get to 20 points every week. And he was right. I don't think this team has that. I don't see how they get to 20 capacity, but I also don't see how they win shootouts. Now, like you said, there probably won't be in a lot of shootouts because the defense is great and they're going to generate a lot of pass rush. So they're going to keep teams from, Tennessee, they'll probably limit. They won't be putting up their fantasy football numbers with A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, the Kansas Cities, et cetera. Excuse me, when they play Brady, I still say that's a 3-point game. I think give the Pats a fighting chance. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I just think somehow one game goes the wrong way. That said, from 7-9 to 11-6 represents a massive turnaround. I say Buffalo wins the division. They'll split with them. The Patriots are a wild card team this season because there's going to be a lot of attrition and topsy-turviness in the AFC. So wild card team that makes it to the divisional round, 11-6. Mac Jones does start at least one game this season. There you go.
Starts one, so that would be the
At
last.
least one.
If
No,
he's
at
gonna
least one.
So if he's going to start, that either means Cam is in COVID protocol, or it's the last game of the regular season, and it doesn't change a playoff position, right?
I think it's either COVID protocol or a Cam injury. Now Cam's going to run a lot. Like he had 150. You know, he had 150. He's the second leading running back last season.
But he stopped running, though. He didn't run much towards the end of the year. All his running was early on in the season, and I felt it probably got to his body, and he just slowed down.
Right.
You know,
he looks like he looks pretty spry, and his arm looks pretty alive right now. Like that throw to Myers that the linebacker Martinez pulled out from Myers' hands, like that was on his back foot, like 35 yards down the field on a rope. That was a nice toss.
Can we talk about a few disappointments that I was hopeful of? I wanted to see more out of Kendrick Bourne. I wanted to see more out of Aguilar.
Like one catch for Kendrick Bourne in the preseason and 0 for Nelson of Aguilar.
I mean, I don't know if that concerns you or not. I mean, I guess, listen, if those guys go out and they have 40 to 60 catches, which they should, being the two starters, then we can just say, bro, preseason really means 0, right? But those guys are not Randy Moss. They are wide receiver 2 and 3, maybe 4 on some other teams. You would think that they need to get involved in this offense, right? So I'm concerned about those 2 wide receivers. That's why I'm saying, like, the Zuber situation. We saw more out of Zuber than we did out of Kendrick Bourne and
Nelson Aguilar.
And Nelson Aguilar. So I don't know. Aguilar doesn't even like to fight for the ball. I mean, I think Aguilar is just a sprint up the sideline guy and throw it in the breadbasket. And they never had a guy like that really before. Maybe Terry Glenn, you could kind of look at. Maybe Sean Jefferson.
Oh my God, dude! If anyone in this team, first of all, Sean Jefferson, Patriots legend, his drip alone is the reason why we should go back to the baby blues. 2, Terry Glenn's rookie season when Parcells had the nuts nerve to call him she. You know, the famous draft pick that led to the whole like they want you to make dinner, but they won't let you shop for the groceries. Like he was ridiculous that his rookie season.
Do you know that the greatest stat for Terry Glenn is that he has the biggest point differential? I'm not sure I've mentioned this before because it's an amazing stat that Terry Glenn has the biggest point differential for any team when he's playing versus non-playing. It was something that the Patriots scored 7 or more points when Terry Glenn was on the field versus when he wasn't on the field, like in games, because Terry Glenn missed he missed about 20% of his games. Like there was always that like little bad hammy. Glenn had to sit out. And whenever Terry Glenn had to sit out, the Patriots offense was inept. It was inept. And that was, Terry Glenn's claim to fame. Big Buckeye, another Buckeye guy.
So, Terry Glenn, he was awesome. I wonder what the baseball has like WAR, the wins above replacement. Like football needs to have a stat like your offense is that much better when you are playing at guard, under center, or split out wide. Like the fact that the Patriots offense was 7 points better when Terry Glenn started versus when he didn't. That needs to be a stat. Whatever the hell it is, someone's going to get rich off of that. It needs to be you. Create that algorithm tonight.
Maybe I can get a hold of Kerry Byrne at Cold Hard Football Facts. He probably has all that data.
He's still busy eating a bar pizza.
Yeah, writing for the New York Post now.
Writing for the New York Post, which is amazing. By the way, Mike Tavilla points out Troy Brown looking pretty badass in those specs. Yeah, looking badass in his specs. Have you seen Dakota? Have you seen pictures of Troy Brown doing interviews? The wide receivers coach, the original TFB, Troy fucking Brown, out there. He is ripped. I mean, we're talking like, oh yeah, macho man. Like he is cut up. Like forget TB12. We all need to be on the TB80. He looks like he's ready to go out with the other 299 Spartans and take on the Persians kid. Like he is ripped up.
Well, speaking of Troy Brown off the football field, do you remember the cameo appearance he made on Wheel of Fortune?
No, I never saw that.
Yeah, Troy Brown was on Wheel of Fortune.
No,
you didn't know this? This was a long time ago. Go on YouTube and search for Troy Brown Wheel of Fortune. He was on Wheel of Fortune.
Wow, that's spectacular. That is absolutely.
See, you know what? You're too busy watching Ted Lasso. That's what you are. You need some more nostalgia.
You want to know why? Because life is an absolute slog, and Twitter is a mess. And I spend far too much time on social media and everywhere else I go, it's all negativity. And every now and again, Ted Lasso just opens the door and it fetches the paper, it pours me coffee, and it bleeds sunshine through my windows, and I can't get enough of it. It makes me so damn happy.
Hey, can I tell you something that really irks me, and it's irked me forever?
Listen, this is the place. Get it off your chest, kid.
Okay. And I don't, Belichick's a great coach, and I just never understand how the greatest coach of all time doesn't tell his punt returners when the other team touches the ball first and muffs it, that you can go and get it. And even if you touch it and fumble, the other team cannot return it. So to me, the Giants today, like they downed the punt like inside the 4, and the ball was rolling around there. And our punt returner just, you know what, you can go over and you can try to be aggressive, grab the ball and try to advance it instead of where it's down. Right. And there's no loss. You can pick up the ball, and even if you touch it, mishandle it, fumble it, you cannot lose the ball. And I just see these teams. It's a free ball, a free opportunity for your team to pick it up if they can't control when they try to down it. So that really irked me today. It irks me all the time. It's just one of those things that I just never understood when watching it. And the punt returner just stands there and watches the ball bounce around after the other team had tried to down it and can't completely cover it. So mine
would be the phrase whenever you're watching a broadcast and it's usually the color guy, the color analyst, who says like, well, that right there was a really poorly timed interception, to which I always want to be like, and there's such a thing as a well-timed interception.
Well, there may be, if you throw an interception as your first pass of the game, a la, I think the 1999 Super Bowl between the Falcons and the Broncos. I think Chris Chandler's first pass was picked off and Elway's second pass was picked off. So I think those are okay.
I got it out of the way. It was a Mexican standoff of interceptions to start the game.
Exactly. So I think those ones are properly timed.
What an absolute ass kicking that was. All right. So Dakota, we will come back. Hopefully we'll be able to get back together sometime around 2 weeks from now, whether it's right before the first game or right after the first game. Maybe we'll be able to come out, put some sort of like live event together before a game. Dakota and I have been talking about maybe meeting up at the Braintree Brew House for anyone who's on the South Shore or knows where it's at, or maybe one of Dakota's fabulous steakhouses, beverageterias, getting together with the people for a little live broadcast soon. In the interim, where can they buy your goods? Where can they see you, hear you, and read you, Guy?
Well, for one, if you guys are interested in golf apparel, swingjuice.com, go there. And any of you guys if you guys follow me on Twitter at Dakota Happas, I have a special followers code, Dakota40 will give you 40% off anything that you guys want. And coming up, I have a fantasy sports app, Fantasy Spin. It's in both app stores. It's a sweepstakes kind of virtual slots meets daily fantasy game. So if you guys just want to spend no money and just, spin your lineups at random, you can download the Fantasy Spin app and go play. So those are my 2 projects that I've been working on, and hopefully someday they become successful. And maybe, Fitzy, you can help me get there.
I would be more than happy to get there, my guy. Once again, thank you to Canadips, Vitamin C Brewing, and of course, UnderdogFantasy.com at Underdog Fantasy if you guys want to play best ball fantasy, pick'em style, and more. Promo code Fitzy for a free $25 to play with however you would like across the app, the platform, and all of the games. Just to remind everybody, this is my favorite video of the year so far. Mac Jones.
Wait, me and you? You mean this video is your favorite video of the year?
This is my favorite live stream, my favorite short form video of the year. Just to remind everyone that whenever Mac Jones takes over, the terror that he puts in the hearts and the souls of your division rivals. This is from draft night back at the end of April 2021.
NFL draft. The 6-time world champion New England Patriots select Mac Jones.
Fuck! Wow. He's gonna be fucking. Watch what happens. Listen, everyone now. Look at him. Look at his pace.
The New England Patriots.
Oh my God!
Look at his pace.
I have not. You know what that rivals, Fitzy? That rivals the Jets fan at the Apollo Theater during the NFL draft in New York. I think it was at the Apollo Theater when the Jets drafted Kenny O'Brien, and one fan yelled out, "Who the F is Ken O'Brien?" And they drafted him in the first round.
I'm not ready to have the conversation yet. The Jets fans are the best. I know they traded for Shaq Lawson today to try to replace Carl Lawson, who was going to be a beast coming off the edge for them. Who they signed to a huge deal out of Cincinnati. Great pickup. I like all the moves the Jets have made. I still think they're going to go 5-12, but they're going to be like a feisty, developmental, reasonably competitive, borderline watchable 5-12. So pushovers no more are the rest of the AFC least.
Hey, you know who we didn't talk about tonight? Are we going to keep the good-looking kid Norberg, right? The guy
Quinn Nordin.
Norberg, I like to call him because it's from O.J. Simpson from Major League, right?
Oh, with the wild thing here, which you cut off. Iron Leg.
Norberg was the name that O.J. Simpson played.
O.J. Simpson's character in the Naked Gun, yes.
Naked Gun. It was Norberg.
Yeah, Naked Gun. He was incredible.
Yeah.
So what I think happens now that Big Kick Nick is healthy and came back tonight and nailed the 41-yarder is they cut Nordin, try to sneak him by, stash him on the taxi squad for the year, and you hold on to him, and then you just work on him because he's very streaky, and that's what everyone said at Michigan. Obviously, he showcased that because he went 9 for 9 in a practice in stadium. Then he was huge in the first game, and then he just couldn't make a kick for love, sex, money, or a combination of therein against the Eagles in the second pretend season game. So who the hell knows? I don't think they go with him. I think they put him on the taxi squad for like kicker of the future. At least he's not Roar Wasser.
Well, you gave me my goal for this year is to remove the name the Taxi Squad, and we can call it the Uber Squad because taxis are pretty much this.
Hey, you know what? And we'll call the big boys the Zuber Squad because Dakota said it first. He's your surprise addition, and I say watch out for Gunner the Runner because I think his days could be numbered. Even though he was an All-Pro punt returner last year, and I thought he was mirroring the career of Julian Edelman so nicely. All right, guys, so that's Steve Dakota Happas, a.k.a. the Boston Sports Radio calling legend Dakota from Braintree. I'm your old pal, Nick Fitzy Stevens here. Thanks for watching Fitzy and Friends chopping up Patriots preseason game number 3, 22-20. Pats are 3-0 in the pretend season. We are 14 days away from the Patriots kicking off the 2021 season, 4:25 in the p.m. from the Razor against B-Flow and the Miami Dolphins. We'll be back soon with some more live streams, good content, and everything else you've come to expect from the @FitzyGFY brand. Until then, good night, God bless, drink up, go Pats. And here is your randomly grabbed Twitter video moment of Zen.
Of this improved defense. He and a lot of players on this field tonight have a lot.
God damn, it's always a good time. See you guys.
Bye, Fitzy.